You get to ask questions about the English language, and I try my best to answer them. I will say I'm not that good at answering questions sometimes. I think today things will go pretty good though. I'm wide awake. I had a good night's sleep. I think I'll be able to think clearly while I'm doing this lesson. Just let me check for a minute to make sure that everything is working on the technical front. It looks like it is. Yes, and let me check one other thing here, and then we will get started. I try my best to answer them. I will say, I'm not good though. I'm wide awake answering questions. Okay, I think we're ready. Sorry for being quiet there. I'm just trying a new console on my laptop to run things. Here's how this works. Dave and Todd are moderating the chat over there. They will post a link to the question form. Please use the form to ask questions. Please do not ask questions in the chat. Use the form. It makes it a lot easier for me. I will take your question from the form and post it back into the chat when I answer it. Thank you for being here. There are a ton of people saying hi to me, so hi to all of you. It is really good to see you here. Let's get started though. I know there is already one question waiting from Shen. And Shen's question is, let me paste this in here. Shen's question is, how's the correct? Could you give me some methods about listening skills during the quiz? Maybe I have a listening test two times a week. Sometimes the descriptives are a bit long and I can't keep up. So when I did my French testing, the listening portion was actually the most difficult because they play the audio 2 times and it's really long and it's really fast and it's hard to keep up. The best advice I could give you, Shen, is to, instead of trying to answer the questions, keep notes beside the questions as you go along, and definitely read over those questions really well before the listening portion starts. So if they say you have 2 minutes to read the questions, read them over and make some notes. Then when they play the audio, you will have a better chance of understanding what they are talking about. Let's go to the next question. It's from Deekshant. Deekshant says, do you like spicy food? And have you tried some Indian food? Indian food can be quite spicy, but we have some amazing sweets too. So I have tried Indian food and I do like spicy food, but I can't remember the name of the dish that I had. But when I tried Indian food, it was too spicy for me. So I had a colleague at work that originally was from India, and she brought in some traditional Indian food. And I apologize, Deekshant, I can't remember the name of it. And it was delicious, but it was a little bit too hot, a little bit too spicy for me. So I will try it again though, just to see if maybe my taste buds can handle it. Ying says, greetings from Taipei. How do you pronounce coronavirus? Do we say coronavirus is infectious or contagious, and what's the difference between them? So we would pronounce it coronavirus. Coronavirus is the name that we're going with, even though I think we're saying the novel coronavirus. I'm not sure of the pronunciation of that. And we would say that it is infectious and contagious, okay? We would most likely use the word contagious. We would say that when someone first has coronavirus, they are contagious. That would be the most common way to describe that. Let's see here. Vitaly Smirnov says, hello, Bob. Thank you for your work. Could you please make a video telling us about Canada, cities, history, etc.? This request comes up quite often, and it is on my list of videos to make at some point. I will try to do that the best I can. Next question from Martin. How can I improve my pronunciation? I can read, write quite well, but I make many mistakes and I mispronounce when I speak. Thank you. So there's 2 things that you can do, Martin. One is listen, watch videos where people are having a conversation and try to mimic or shadow one of the people. So when the person says, hello, my name is Joe, pause the video and say, hello, my name is Joe, and try to listen to what you're saying. The second thing that you can do to help with your pronunciation is to write down things that you think you will be saying and then put them into Google Translate and let the computer pronounce it for you and try to sound like how the computer is practicing it. I want to pause and say hello to the 321 people who are here watching. Thank you so much for being here. We are in the middle of a question and answer lesson on the English language. So let's keep going here. Remember, Todd and Dave will post the link to the forum occasionally. And you can use that to ask me a question, and I will post it back in. Victor says, are you speaking slower than you usually do in your classroom or in your conversations? Yes, but just a little bit slower. So let me read that again. Victor says, are you speaking slower than you usually do in your conversations? That was my normal speed, and here is my answer in normal speed. Yes, when I'm talking on the internet, when I'm in a live video like this, I do speak a little bit more quickly, but usually it's, a little bit more slowly than I normally do. Sorry, I'm distracted because I hear Oscar barking outside. I'm not sure what he's barking at, but my wife Jen is going to have a look. So yes, I do speak just a little bit more slowly. Let's see, Hannah says, I want to speak English naturally. Do you have any tips about that? Thank you. So the number one way to speak English naturally is to have conversations with a native English speaker. I often recommend that you hire someone via a website like Preply. There is a link in the description below where you can pay money to have a conversation in English with a native English speaker. That is very helpful for correcting things that you are mispronouncing and those types of things. So try that for sure. And Deekshant says it must have been some kind of curry. I think it was. It was really, really yummy. It was like a stew, and you said the name for a soup or stew a couple weeks ago, and I forgot what it was. So let's see here. Next question is from Neptune Girl. Hello, sir. What's the basic difference between nauseous and nauseated, and medicine and medication? Thank you in advance for your help. You're awesome. Oh, well, you're welcome. So medication and medicine are the same. So every day I take my medicine. Every day I take my medication. Those mean the same thing. But nauseous and nauseated we use incorrectly in English. So let me look those up to make sure I give you the correct answer here. Because I know native English speakers actually use these two words incorrectly. So when you're nauseous, you are affected by nausea and you might need to throw up. That means to vomit. So when something, and let's look up nauseated. Let's look that one up as well for a sec. The reason I'm looking these up is because I feel like I probably use these words wrong when I'm speaking English. Even native English speakers make mistakes. So when you nauseate, it actually means you make someone feel sick. So a little bit of a different meaning there. Let me clean up my questions here, everybody, and we will move on to the next one. Let's see here. This is a bit of a grammar question. Let me get this posted in the chat. Valerie from Ukraine says, hello, Bob. Could you explain the construction, get in brackets, have something done? So we use both of those phrases. So let's say that I need to get some work done on my house, or I need to have some work done on my house. It means that my house needs a repair. I can also say I need to get some work done on my car, or I need to have some work done on my car. They mean exactly the same thing in both those situations. Next question. This is a personal question about me. Hoon Kim says, is there a reason, so a little correction here, Hoon, is there a reason that you cut your hair short? I think long hair looks good on you too. So the reason I cut my hair short is a long time ago, I had a motorcycle and I had longer hair, but when I wore my helmet, when I took my helmet off, my hair was always messed up. So I got my hair cut really short when I was younger, so that when I wore my motorcycle helmet, I didn't get weird looking hair, and I liked it a lot. So ever since then, I have always gotten my hair cut short. And I kind of just like it that way. In fact, I feel like it's a little long today. It probably doesn't look that long, but it is. Madi has the next question. Here we go. Madi says, Hi, Bob the Canadian. I'm glad to see you. What's the meaning? Set it up. So I bought a light to use during my live streams, and every week I have to set it up. So I put the light, it's over there, by the way, the light. So I put the light stand over there and I put the light on it and I plug it into the wall. Every week I have to set it up. So that's what that means. Next question is from Pachi from Bangkok. I want to know what is the difference between dear and my dear. I heard my boyfriend sometimes call me dear. They would mean the same thing. When you say my dear, it sounds a little old. And dear is just like a cute name that someone uses for their boyfriend or girlfriend. So you could say, could I have another cup of tea, dear? Or could I have another cup of tea, my dear? The my dear sounds kind of old fashioned. We don't often say my dear. It's something old ladies might say. But that's my best explanation that I have. Lily from Vietnam says, what is the difference between lie down and lay down? Well, technically, people lie down and we lay things down, okay? But as English speakers, we use them interchangeably sometimes. So once again, tonight I will lie down on the bed and go to sleep, okay? I will lie down, but I have this remote control and I'm going to lay it down. But English speakers actually do things like this. I sometimes say, tonight I'm going to lay down on the bed. And that's technically wrong, but we do say that quite a bit. Let's see here. Next question is from Carlos. Carlos says, hello, Bob. Let me know if the next sentence is right. I want to share my music preferences with you. Is there another way to say it? Thank you, or regards. That would work. I want to share my music preferences with you, but it sounds really formal. It sounds like something that if you were talking to a teacher, you would say, like it's very structured. I would say, I want to tell you what kind of music I like would be a better way to say it. I want to tell you what kind of music I like. But your first sentence, Carlos, is correct. It just sounds a little bit, I guess, formal is the best word. Let's see here. Aaron says, hi, Bob. Hi, Aaron. I would like to know, how can I use the word detachment? That's a tricky one. We use that word in a couple of ways. The first way that comes to mind is we have like police officers and they're part of a detachment, which is like the group of police officers we would call a detachment. I wonder if there's another meaning though. It's not a common word in English. So you can be detached. Like I can be someone who, oh, he's always a little detached. That means you're not always thinking about what's happening in the moment. So anyways, that's how I would use it. The first and most common usage would be if I was talking about the police or the army. You know, there was a detachment of soldiers that came and asked me a question. That would be how I would use it. Eli, hi Teacher Bob. Is there any difference between I've got and I have to? Thanks so much. Have a blessed weekend. So let's see here. I could say, I have to go to the hardware store to buy a hammer. I've got to go to the hardware store to buy a hammer. When you say I've got to, it's very informal. The more correct sounding one would be to say I have to. I think the most correct way would be to say I must. So I must go to the hardware store to buy a hammer. I have to go to the hardware store to buy a hammer. I've got to go to the hardware store to buy a hammer. Katerina says, what's your idea of a perfect vacation? So last night I was watching a French television show and they were in Tahiti. They were visiting Bora Bora and Tahiti in the Pacific Ocean. And I thought that sounded fun. So someday, maybe I will go there. We will see. I just want to mention again, just so that people are aware, I see a few questions are in the chat. In these live lessons, these live English lessons, we try to keep the chat for conversation between the learners who are watching. If you have a question, please use the form that Todd or Dave will share, okay? It's important that we do that because we want to keep the chat as a practice area for people who are learning English. So I see a few people asking questions there. Please use the form. That's great. And thanks, Dave, for reminding people of the rules there. Next question is from Marino Oliveri. Hi from Brazil. What's the correct pronunciation of entrepreneur and entrepreneurship? So I say entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. There are different pronunciations of this depending on what part of the English-speaking world you are in. But I definitely say entrepreneur. Someone who starts a business is an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurship is the name we give for people who are starting a business. Let's see here. Valerie says, how often do you visit the United States of America or the USA? About once a year, but I don't think I've been to the States or to America or to the USA or to the US for about 2 years now. Even though if I drive that way 45 minutes, I would be in Buffalo, New York. That's how close I live to the border. So I should visit more often. That would be a good idea. Let's see here. Elizabeth says, hi, Bob. A while ago in a short lesson, you said, the school I work at. Why didn't you say the school where I work? I could say both. They mean the same thing. The school I work at allows me to do a live stream every Friday morning. The school where I work allows me to do a live stream every Friday morning. So that's kind of handy. Let's see here. Gonna go to the next question. And Sue says, hi, Bob. I wonder whether you listen to music. If so, who's your favorite artist? And who is popular among your students in Canada these days? Thank you. So my current favorite song is the song Circles by Post Malone. I'm a pretty old person to be listening to Post Malone, but the song Circles by Post Malone I really, really like. And I currently really like the song Memories by Maroon 5. Those two songs are also great songs for learning a little bit of English. So check them out. So Circles by Post Malone and Memories by Maroon 5. Who is my favorite artist? I would have to say Vianney from France is my favorite artist right now. My favorite musician is from France. There we go. Now you know Bob the Canadian who teaches English, his favorite musician is actually from France. Let's go to the next one. Let's see here. Next question is from Hong. Hi, Bob. Do you have any tips on giving impromptu speeches? So when you need to go up front somewhere in front of people and say thank you for something or give a short speech, my biggest recommendation is that you practice beforehand. If you know you are going somewhere where you might need to go up front and talk, be ready to tell a little story, be ready to say something funny. Write these things out before you go there. And be ready just to talk about yourself a little bit, to be able to say things like, well, thank you for giving me this award. It's really nice to be here this evening. I enjoyed the meal. I just want to thank my parents, those kinds of things. So let's see here. Let me go to the next question. Let's see here. From Ying says, hi, Bob. This timing works perfectly for me. I mean, the hour for live streaming. Do you watch any TV series? If yes, are my comments coming through, Todd? Or I don't know if my comment is... Are the questions actually showing up in the chat right now? I'm not seeing that happening. Let's see. Let me try that one more time to see if it actually comes through. There it is. Okay. Ying says, hi, Bob. This timing works perfectly for me. I mean, the hour of the live stream. Well, I'm glad it does. Do you watch any TV series? If yes, could you recommend us a good TV series? So currently I am watching Picard. That's a TV series. It is a Star Trek TV series. I find it very, very enjoyable. It's science fiction, but it is currently the series that I look forward to every week. Andre Cruciante says, hi, Bob. Could you explain the meaning of you are my saving grace? Not sure that came through either. Let me just check here. Maybe I'm just getting confused here, and maybe I'm posting the questions twice. But when someone is your saving grace, it means that they've helped you. Maybe you're driving your car and your car breaks down. If someone stops to help you and gives you a ride to the next town, they are your saving grace. So they are the person that has helped you. That is what, when you say someone is your saving grace, that is what that means. Let's see here. Next question is from Auntie Rouve. Says, are there any ways to learn vocabulary better? By the way, what do you think of the flashcard method? I think the best way to learn vocabulary is through reading, but there are many ways to learn vocabulary. Sometimes you can learn vocabulary just from listening to music, but I don't think there is one way that is better than any other way. What I know is learning vocabulary is hard work, and whether you're using flashcards or post-it notes or an app on your phone, just make sure you're spending lots of time building your vocabulary. And the best way to remember vocabulary is to use it right away in a sentence. If you live in an English-speaking country, when you learn new vocabulary, you should go out and try to use it in real life at some point. Thanks, Todd, for letting me know that things are working well at your end. That's awesome. Katerina says, what's the best part about living in Canada? For me, two things. Number one, I love winter. When I look out the window right now, though, there is no snow. But the best reason to live in Canada is winter. The second best reason is free healthcare. So I had heart surgery a couple years ago. I'm very thankful that it cost me nothing to have things fixed up. So those are two things that I like about Canada. Let's see here. Next question is from Paul. Hi, Bob. What's the weather like? It's 1 degree, Paul, and it's kind of overcast. Lots of clouds in the sky. Could you explain to me the difference between desire and wish? So I have a desire to go shopping later today. I have a wish to go shopping later today. You can use them interchangeably. Desire is maybe a little bit stronger than wish, but both of them mean that you want to do something. Let's see here. Dimitri says, hello, Bob. Hi, Dimitri. I really like and appreciate your lessons on TikTok. Could you please tell what is the difference between as far as and as long as? So as far as I know, they are different in a small way. So as far as introduces something, as far as I know, drinking water is better than drinking tea. So you're kind of just introducing a thought. But when you say as long as, you're saying things more like, as long as you drink water, you will not have a dry throat. So as long as is used to introduce two ideas, right? So as long as I keep talking, you will keep watching. As long as this light is on, I will be well lit. As long as I eat breakfast, I will be in a good mood. So there's always two ideas with as long as, whereas as far as is usually used to introduce an idea. Let me clean up my questions, everybody, and we'll get to Frankie has the next question. Let's paste that in. Heloisa SP has just joined as a member of my channel. Thank you very much, Heloisa, for doing that. If you did not know, when you see people in chat who have a small crown and their name is in green, they are a member. And when you're a member, you get to have a little crown by your name. But thank you, Heloisa, for joining. That is very nice of you. Let me get to the next question. Frankie from Hong Kong says, hi, Bob. I think HK is Hong Kong. Hi, Bob. Do you think you will always keep teaching English on YouTube in the future? Thank you for your great work anyway. So Jen and I, my wife Jen and I, were talking about this morning, and I said, do you think when I'm old and I'm retired, I'll probably just do a live stream every morning? So I don't know. I am not old enough to retire yet. I still have a job, but I am going to keep doing YouTube for a very long time. I like doing it. You know, the little advertisements that run before you watch a video, I get a little bit of money from that. I enjoy having these live lessons and doing these live lessons. I enjoy interacting with people. It's very, very fun. So my plan is to just keep doing it for a very long time. So again, thank you, Heloisa, for the joining as a member. That's awesome of you. Let's go to the next question. Let's see here. Daniel says, talk a little bit about Canadian culture, like things that you can only see or eat in Canada. I want to know your country better someday. So let's talk about 3 things about Canada then. Number one thing Canadians do a lot is they go to a coffee shop called Tim Hortons. Did you know though that Tim Hortons is a Canadian coffee shop, but it's mostly owned by a company in Brazil? I'm going to double check that. But anyways, Canadians go to coffee shops. You might think that we all play hockey, and to some degree that is true. But hockey is definitely one of the biggest sports in Canada. And the other thing about Canada is everything you buy in the store has English and French on it. So those are 3 things that are uniquely Canadian. We go to Tim Hortons too much. And all the people in Brazil that own Tim Hortons are probably happy. We do watch hockey a lot, and we do play hockey. I know how to play hockey. I think most Canadian kids know a little bit about the game of hockey. And the third thing is when you buy, like if you buy a box of cereal, it has French on one side and English on the other side. Everything here that you buy has French and English on it. Okay, let's move on to... Let's see here. I think I did this question already. Let me remove that one. Let's see here. Kismo says, hello, Bob. I'd like to ask you that. How often do you use idioms in everyday life? Thanks in advance. Way too much, and it makes it very difficult for people to learn English. We use idioms all the time. When I'm doing my live streams, maybe I don't use as many as I do in everyday life, but we say things like, you know, if a student is running in the hallway, I'll say, whoa, hold your horses, slow down there, okay? Thanks, Carlos Ferreira, for becoming a member. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's awesome of you. But we do. So when you are learning English idioms, and if you are thinking, oh, real English speakers, do they really use them? The answer is yes, we do all the time. And that's why I do my other YouTube channel, my short English lessons. And that's why I do my little TikTok videos, because every day I hear another idiom while I'm going through my day, and then I use it to teach that small lesson. Let's see here. Next question, Eduardo. Good morning, Bob. Eduardo says, hi, Bob, good morning. How do you pronounce soap and sup? And what's the difference between I'm glad you and I are happy for you? Oh, I'm glad for you. I'm happy for you. Thank you. You are a good teacher. No problem. So 2 questions there. Soap is what you use when you're in the shower. You have a bar of soap. When you wash your hands, you use soap. And sup is something we say, it's like a short slang way of saying hello. So you're like, sup. I don't say it very well because old people don't say sup very often, but it's a really short version of what's up, sup, man, how's it going today? And the second part of your question is, I'm glad for you and I'm happy for you. So you could say, I'm glad for you. You can say, I'm happy for you. Okay. Sometimes in my comments to people, I'll just say, I'm glad for you. Someone will say, I passed my English test. And I'll say, awesome, I'm really glad for you, or I'm really happy for you. And again, thanks. Who was that again? Carlos Ferrer, thank you so much for becoming a member. That's very awesome of you. If you're wondering what I do with membership money, I use it to pay my internet bill. Let's move on. Let's see here. Katerina, what book impressed you the most? So my most favorite book that I've ever read is a book called Ender's Game. And I read it when I was really, really young. And it's about a boy who, it's science fiction. I read a lot of science fiction. It's by Orson Scott Card. And it's about a boy who grows up and is trained to fight aliens. I really like that book. Second to that, I would say The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings would be my 2 most favorite books in the world. Let's see here. Muli says, I can hear native people, but I can't speak like them. How can I do it? So I'm going to fix your question, Muli. I can understand native English speakers, but I can't speak like them. How can I do that? That would be the most correct way to ask that. Practice, practice, practice. I know I say it over and over again. I'm like a broken record. There, see, we use idioms a lot. But the best thing, Muli, that you can do is when you are doing your listening, make sure you are vocalizing what you are hearing. So if you're listening to the newscaster, try to repeat what the newscaster says after they say it. And the other thing is, again, link in the description to a website called Preply where you can hire someone. I know not all of you have money, but if you have a little bit of money, hiring an English tutor is the best way to improve that. So Natalia from Russia, go bump in the night. What does that mean? Will you please give an example of a sentence with this phrase? Thank you. So most children are afraid of things that go bump in the night. Okay, so this is a phrase that we talk about when we're talking about things that scare you when it's dark. So we talk about, sometimes I'm in bed and all of a sudden I'll hear like a bump, and maybe it's Oscar. Maybe Oscar has, turned around in his bed. But things that go bump in the night are things that kind of scare you when you're sleeping. That is what things that go bump in the night mean. And I think we use this a lot in horror movies. I think they talk about things that go bump in the night. I don't usually get scared at night, but sometimes I do. Lily says, what is the difference between these words? Okay, little correction there. What is the difference between these words? Require, request, order, and command. So when I require something, I need it, okay? I require water to live. I require it. I have to have water. When I request something or order something, it means I ask for it. So I could request that they take money from one of my bank accounts and put it in another. Okay, I could request that. I could order food at a restaurant. That's a word that we usually use when we are somewhere like a restaurant and ordering something. And when you command, it means, you're very sternly telling someone something. Like if I say, sit down, get out of this classroom. I don't often say that, but that would be commanding someone. It's a very, very strong term. Let's see here. I see a lot of questions in the chat, folks, and we are pretty full on questions. I'm just going to kind of work through these over the next little while. I'm a little overwhelmed. There's over 102 questions on the list, so you'll just have to be patient. Asking questions in the chat does not help, okay? I will not be able to get to them. So please enjoy the chat. There's 616 of you. That's why there's so many questions rolling in. Please just enjoy the chat in terms of conversations with each other, and I will keep working through these questions. Dimitri, yeah, Bob. Oh, Dimitri, yeah, Bob. Could you clarify when I should use the word that and when I should use the word which? So I fixed the question a little bit there. What is the difference in usage? Thank you. So this is the water that I'm drinking. This is the water which I am drinking. Grammatically, I'm not sure which one is the most correct, but as an English speaker, I would use both. You could say, this is the car which I'm driving today, or you could say, this is the car that I'm driving today. I think both work quite well if you are speaking English. Let me clean up some questions here that I've gone through. Let's see here. A few repeat questions, so I'm going to just delete. Let's see here. Next question. Danny says, hey Bob, how are you going to celebrate tomorrow's Groundhog Day in Canada? I'm from France and we do celebrate this day called La Chandeleur, making crepe. Thank you. I'll probably just read a news story about it. We actually have our own groundhog in Ontario called Wyerton Willie. And we don't look at the American groundhog. We have our own groundhog who lets us know whether it's going to be an early or late spring. Let's see here. Next question is from Madi. Excuse me, what's the meaning of hookup? So this is a little bit of slang, and it means when two people get together for something romantic, actually a little more than romantic. I don't want to get into talking about what two people who like each other do when no one else is around. But if you hook up with someone, it means that you have had a romantic encounter with them. You'll need to look this one up online if you want more details. Next question is from NTA Ruve. What is the difference between, okay, so a little correction here. What is the difference between maybe, perhaps, and probably? Well, maybe I'll have a live stream next week. Perhaps I'll have a live stream next week. Probably I'll have a live stream next week. They all mean almost the same. And it basically means something that may or may not happen. And I think you can use them almost interchangeably. Like maybe I'll go shopping. Perhaps I'll go shopping. I'll probably go shopping. The last one is a little different, okay? The first two are very similar. So you have things like, maybe I should drink some more water. Perhaps I should drink some more water. But when you use probably, I would say, I will probably drink some more water. So it's a little bit different in terms of usage. Let's see here. Lolly Lolly says, bonjour, Bob. Hi, Lolly Lolly. I would rather and I had rather, same meaning, merci. So I would rather sleep in, but I usually get up early. I had rather, I don't use the second phrase very often, okay? You say things like, I'd rather not. But I don't often say I had rather not. It's kind of funny, right? But like I'd rather not is more correct than I had rather not. So you would not hear an English speaker say, I had rather not do that. But we do say, oh, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather go to town and those kinds of things. I'd rather do a live lesson right now. That's what I would like to do. Hey, there are some duplicate questions, so that will help me get through them a little more quickly. Nathan from GR says, hello from Greece, Teacher Bob. Hello, Nathan GR. I'd like to know the difference between dog and pooch. Thank you in advance. So a dog is what we use to talk about a dog. You have cats that say meow and dogs that go woof woof. Some people call their dog a pooch though. They'll be like, hey, come here puppy, come here pooch. They'll use that and that's how they will talk about their dog. So basically they mean the same thing. Pooch is kind of a nickname for a dog. Let's see here. David says, hello, Bob from Brazil. Oh, hello, Bob from Brazil. Okay, a little correction here. I would say, do you think it is important to know how to pronounce the alphabet? Okay, so that's how, David, that's how I would ask that question. Do you think it is important to know how to pronounce the alphabet? Yes, I do, because sometimes you need to ask about how to spell a certain word. I'm not going to sing the alphabet again. I did that in another live stream. Did you guys ever hear that one? You can sing the alphabet in English. It's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now you know your ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? I don't like singing. But anyways, you can sing your alphabet and it helps you learn your alphabet. Let's see. Frankie from Hong Kong says, hi, Bob. What kind of English names, plural names, do you think are not acceptable? I don't know. That's a pretty broad question. Most names I think are acceptable. I'm not sure if you're talking about people's names, but I think that as long as the name isn't made from a swear word, I'm sure it's probably a good name. Next question is from Bikash Nayak. Hello, sir. I'm from India. I am pursuing chartered accountant. I'm pursuing being a chartered accountant in India and also planning to be a certified public accountant. Is this a good profession, or is it a good profession? So a few corrections in there, Bikash. Yes, absolutely. Be an accountant. There are always jobs for accountants. Do that, absolutely. I just want to pause for a sec to say hello to the 628 people here. I'm glad to see that in the chat people are people are chatting and not asking questions. That's very, very nice of you. If you are new here, don't forget to click that red subscribe button. And if you don't understand some parts of this lesson, don't forget to come back tomorrow, because there will be English subtitles that you can turn on to rewatch parts of that. So anyways, thanks again for keeping the chat. It's awesome of you. And I apologize that I cannot answer the questions faster. Next question is from Aslan Makameyev, hello from Chechnya. We Chechens love traditions. What wedding traditions have you got in Canada? Or you could say, what wedding traditions do you have in Canada? Well, generally people get married, if they are religious, they usually get married in the building associated with their religion. And then usually afterwards, there is something called a wedding reception. So that is a party after the legal or religious ceremony. There is a party, and those are usually very, very fun. I do see someone in chat saying, we love you, Uncle Bob. Thank you very much. I always think it's funny that in some parts of the world, people call me Uncle Bob. I appreciate the respect. Let's see here. Shen says, hi Shen. I'm curious about dat is. Do English speakers mind the questions of right or wrong grammar while talking to each other? So we don't often correct each other. Sometimes, especially for myself, because I work in a school and I work with 5 English teachers who know all the grammar rules, they will sometimes correct one of the other teachers, and we will always correct students. If a student uses something incorrect, then that's something that we will say. But generally, normal English conversations, you would not see that. Let's see. Next question is from Sarah. Sarah says, is there any difference between the Canadian accent and the American accent? Notice I pronounced the 2 ways there. I mean, can you tell if someone is Canadian? So again, Sarah, a couple corrections there. Sarah says, is there any difference between the Canadian accent and the American accent? Can you tell? Yes, most people can tell the difference, especially if people are from the southern part of the United States. Hey, I do see a lot of people, again, asking questions in the chat. Sorry, folks, I am working through the list of questions from the forum. I will not be answering questions from the chat. I appreciate that you have questions, but it's just difficult for me to do that. Let's see here. Manuel from Spain says, do some of you remember when there used to only be 40 people watching and then I could answer questions from the chat? That was really fun. Those were good times. That's what we would say in English. Ah, good times. Those were good times. Manuel from Spain says, hi, Bob. It's my first time I connect. It's my first time watching would be a good way to say it. My question is about the pronunciation of A as an article. Is there any rule to say, oh, see, I don't know my pronunciation instead of the usual short sound. No, it's just article. Article. That's how you would pronounce it. I read a newspaper article. Hey, earlier people were talking about the difference between pronouncing a B sound and a P sound. So B as in Bob and P as in Peter. So those are 2 different English names. And here's how I teach students to say the B sound. If you say ah, ba, 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 and then move your mouth, you end up making the B sound. So if you say ah, most people can say ah, like ah, ba, 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 ba. You'll hear, that's what a B sound is. You don't push out air when you do a B. It's just ba, 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 like that. Anyways, enough of that. Let me see here. Dimitri, yeah, says, I always get your name wrong, Dimitri, because yeah is like a slang way to say yes. Dimitri says, I've read in one book this sentence, I was being taken into the world I knew nothing about. If I make this sentence without being, will the meaning of the sentence change? I was taken into the world. So when you say I was being taken, it makes you imagine that it's actually happening right in that moment. That's why someone would do that. Peter Pan, says Shen. That's a good way to practice your P's, by saying Peter Pan. But how would you practice your B? Say Batman? Batman? Yeah, that would work. Let's see here. So Jack says, hi, Bob. I would like to know, how can I use the word literally? Okay, so if I said boo and someone jumped and they jumped 3 feet off the ground, and I measured like 3 feet, I could say they literally jumped 3 feet off the ground. When you say literally, it means that's what happened, okay? If I said boo and the guy jumped 10 feet off the ground, that is not speaking literally, okay? So that would be exaggerating a little bit. So when you say that something literally happened. It means that it really happened, okay? I'm going to switch to drinking tea now. I'm trying not to slurp, but yesterday I made slurping sounds and someone in the comments said they didn't appreciate it. So I'm trying really hard to not make a slurping sound. Do I have to make a slurping sound now so you know what it is? Let's see here. Next question from Vitaly Smirnov. My friend from Illinois told me about reduction. Which did ya? He said it was like with you, did you? And I totally don't understand the way I could use. Do you have any ideas? So here we go. Let's see. He was talking about which. He said it was like with you. Yeah, so the first one, not quite. The second one I'll talk about. When I say, did you go to the restaurant? That is like the really nice way to say it. Did you go to the restaurant? But what we actually say in English is, did you go to the restaurant? You hear, did you? Did you go? Did you go? Okay? And we do say it like that. We say did you a lot, okay? In fact, there's a really funny example where I think a teacher said to students, do you know the word jeet in English? And they were like, that's not an English word. But he was actually saying, did you eat? Jeet? Jeet today? Did you eat something today yet? Jeet something today yet? So when we compress, we definitely cram a lot of sounds together. Let's see here. I'm going to clean up my questions. Let's see the next one. Tiago has the next question. Tiago says, hi, I'm from Brazil. Hi, Tiago. I love you. Thank you very much. You might want to say I like you, though. In English, if you say I love you to someone, it usually means that it's usually romantic love. So let's go with I like you. I have a lot of difficulty. Okay, so I have a lot of difficulty with phrasal verbs. I'm making some corrections there. How can I learn more? I really feel confused with these verbs. Okay, so I made a few corrections there. Hopefully you heard them. Just practice them and research them. The problem is there are hundreds of phrasal verbs, but look up the ones that involve, like, I would say get and look and put, and just work on the most common ones. There's probably only about 150 common phrasal verbs. Work on those, and I think that you will. It will go better. Let's see here. There are a lot of questions in the chat. So I think we're breaking a record though, 648 people. I'm sure Todd and Dave are very, very busy right now. But I'm just going to keep going. Yes, Omar, le français pour vous. Don't spam the chat, s'il vous plaît. That is very not very kind when people do that. Valerie, what is the difference between large and big? So I have a big glass of water here. I have a large glass of water here. Technically, there is a slight difference between large and big, but native English speakers use them interchangeably, you know. Oh, I'm gonna go buy I was gonna use huge instead of large and big. I'm going to go buy what would I buy? A large chocolate bar. I'm going to go buy a big chocolate bar. You could use them interchangeably. Let's see here. Anna says, how to understand English dialects. I study in Dublin, and it is very difficult to understand the locals from the first time. Although American English, I understand quite well. You just need to expose yourself to more of the Irish dialect or the Irish pronunciation. So you need to interact with more Irish English speakers. It's just a matter of your ear becoming tuned to it. So do the best you can, but certainly stop watching American television if you're watching American television. Let's see here. So Martin from Asia says, can you help me understand, little correction there, can you help me understand the difference between amazed and amazing? Sometimes I hear it's amazed, but sometimes I hear it's amazing. And how about adjectives like, okay, so we'll talk about, first of all, it's amazed is not a good sentence, okay? That is incorrect. So you would say two things. You would say, I went and saw fireworks, it was amazing. I went and saw fireworks and I was amazed. Okay, So when we say the fireworks were amazing, we're describing the fireworks. When I say that I was amazed, we're talking about the emotion that I experienced when I was watching the fireworks. Okay, so that's the difference between those two. Let's see here. Next question, Natalia from Russia. Civics and social studies, do they refer to the same subject? The other day, one of my colleagues said that social studies is taught at university and civics is taught at school. So in Canada, social studies and civics are exactly the same. Generally, younger children will have social studies where they learn about the government and those kinds of things. High school students will have civics class where they learn actually the same things again, okay? So it doesn't need to be a university or high school or elementary school. Let's see here. Frankie says, how do you use this word, empowering? Could you give me some examples? So I find that there's one YouTuber I watch, and when I watch him, it's very empowering. He gives this very positive message, and he makes me feel good. He makes me feel happy and excited about life. So I feel like he is empowering. He's a very empowering person. So that's how I would use that. Let's see here. Next is from Elisa. And the question is, hi Bob, you are the best English teacher. Thank you. I always respond by saying, I'm not the best, but I try my best. So could you tell me what's better? I haven't got a car or I don't have a car. You can say both. They are somewhat informal. You could say, oh, I haven't got a car, I don't have a car. Both work. Both are completely correct in spoken English. Let's see here. Next question. Gemini says, hello, dear Bob. In a song, I heard the expression, can't take my eyes off of you. That confuses me. Why not only off you? Because in English, we like to put extra words in sometimes, okay? So I can't, if there was like, let's say my daughter wrote on the table, I could say I couldn't get the ink off the table when I cleaned it. I can also say I couldn't get the ink off of the table. They're both correct. There is no logical reason for either, and they mean the same thing. So in your example as well, they mean exactly the same thing. Let's see. Zara, sorry, I don't answer questions from the chat, but Zara says, why your name Bob? This name, we call it a dog's. Bob's just a common name in English. We don't use, some English people call their dog Bob. That does happen sometimes, but not all the time. Let's go to the next question. Deekshanch has the question. Can you pronounce this long Hindi word? Both as are pronounced as in father. Oh, both A's as in father. The word is Kabil Tarif. It means praiseworthy. I hope I said it right, Deekshanch. We'll see. You'll let me know in a little bit if I said it correctly. I do know that I am way behind on the questions. I'm answering questions that some of you asked a long time ago. And I think we're going to do questions a different way in the future. But for now, I'm just going to keep going for the next little bit and finish up as many questions as I can. Let me delete some of the questions that I've already done. Zara the Iranian, who I think lives in Portugal, if I'm remembering things correctly. Zara the Iranian says, hi teacher, what a good hour for a live stream for me. About yesterday's live stream in Iran, blowing the nose in front of people is so discourteous. Let me read this how it should be written, okay? About yesterday's live stream. In Iran, blowing your nose in front of people is considered rude, but not in Portugal. Yeah, in Canada, we usually, if we blow our nose into a tissue or a Kleenex, we usually go and do it off to the side. We don't do it right in front of people, but it isn't considered rude, too rude to do that. Let's see here. Elisa says, what is the difference between under and underneath? So I'm going to put this remote control under the table. I'm going to put this remote control underneath the table. In those two sentences, it means the same thing. Absolutely means the same thing. Let's see here. Next question is from Asma. Let's see here. I see Todd the Canadian is teaching you guys what spam means. Spam is when you post the same message over and over again. So try not to spam the chat. Now you know a new word. Asma says, hi Bob, your lessons are great. I want to learn to discuss my daily routine. Can you please tell us about your daily routine to help us? Well, have I got a treat for you, Asma, because I just did 2 videos a little while ago, and I talked about my daily routine. And I'm going to find a link to one of them right now. And you can watch part 1, and you can watch part 2, and my daily routine. Here we go. So there is a video 1 on how to talk about your daily routine. Hopefully that helps you quite a bit. Let's see here. Fadi has the question. Bob, how can I know which word is more common? I added the word more. How can I know which word is more common than the other? Just by actively listening. The more you listen to English speakers, the more you will be aware of the words that we use all the time and words that we do not. Next question from Manjunath from India. Which English should I learn? British, American, or Canadian? Which one is more common? So it's not about which one is more common. It's about which one will be most useful for you. If you are from India and your main trading partner or the country that you deal with the most is Britain, I would learn British English. There's nothing wrong though with learning all of the Englishes, okay? Most of our rules are the same, especially when people from one country like India are talking to someone from Canada or the United States or Britain. We are going to use a very common and familiar English with you. I would say it doesn't matter as long as, I guess the other thing I would say is if you are planning to visit the United States, then study American English. If you are planning to visit Britain, study British English. If you're going to go to school in one of those countries, I would do that. Let's see here. Alex has the next question. Alex says, hello, Bob. What phrase or phrases do you in Canada use for 1.5 hours and half an hour? Should it be plural or singular? So if I say to someone, I'll come to your house in an hour and a half. That's how I would say it. I'll come to your house in an hour and a half. I'll come to your house in half an hour. Okay. We also might say, I'll be there in 30 minutes. Okay. Or we might say, I'll be there in about 1.5 hours. So I've said it a number of different ways, and all of those different ways are very, very common. So let's see here. Louisa says, Bob, thank you so much for your short lesson expression videos on your other channel. Yes, I do have another channel. It's called Really Short English Lessons. I'm going to put a link to that right now. Not all of you know that, but yes, I have a channel called Really Short English Lessons. My other channel, I should actually get Dave and Todd to post this. So that's a link to my other channel, Really Short English Lessons. And on that channel, I do a short video every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I usually try to talk about an English phrase or idiom. So check out that channel. And Louisa, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy that channel as well. That's a fun channel for me because it helps me realize how strange and weird English is sometimes. Let's see. Layla has the next question. Layla says, hi Bob, when can I say that I am fluent in English, knowing that I can understand movies and TV shows without subtitles? I chat with native speakers and I teach English for beginners. I would say that if you could have a conversation with a native English speaker lasting more than 5 or 10 minutes, if you take a test, that's how you really find out. You take your IELTS or something like that. But if you think you could move to an English-speaking country and survive every day and be happy, I would say that you are fluent. And that would mean that you could... the other thing is, could you go to school if the language was English? If you think you could go to an English university and you would do fine, I think that you are fluent. Because most people, if they think about taking a test or taking a class that's conducted in English, that's when you will feel inside whether you are really fluent or not. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, my other channel. Yeah, not my mother channel, my other channel. So Shen is in the chat talking about a pronunciation distinction. I said on my other channel, but it kind of sounds like on my mother channel, but it's my other channel. Yes, for sure. Let me check some things here. Oh, I see that the hour is up. So I am going to say thank you to the over 600 people that have been watching. Thank you so much. Again, more lessons are available on my other channel. Oh, right here. I think I just deleted it. Sorry, guys. I'm clicking all of the wrong stuff right now. But what I'm trying to say is thank you so much for watching today. This, I think, is a good time slot to do this. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it at this time all the time, but I will hopefully find a time that works for most people. I'm Bob the Canadian. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed. There is a button right there or somewhere that says subscribe. Thumbs up are very awesome. Again, thank you for coming. Please do go and check out my video from last week if you have not watched it yet. It's a video where I argue with myself. Some people found it quite entertaining. I will post the link here. Here is my video from last week, and I'll put a link if you haven't watched it yet. Again, please do come back tomorrow and watch parts of this live stream with the English subtitles on if there were little sections where you didn't quite understand what was happening. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are having a good day, and I hope that you can enjoy next Tuesday's video, and I will see you next Friday when we do another live stream. I'm not sure what the topic is yet. Thanks to Todd and Dave for helping out a lot. That's awesome of you. Thanks to all the regulars who are in here. Thanks to those of you that have joined the channel. That is awesome. Helps me out just a little bit. Bye. I'm talking too much now. Have a great day.